Good afternoon. This is my second letter to the LIAT board. This one is addressed to its chairman, Mr. Gene Holder. Dear Mr. Holder, blameless and shameless. I attempted to reply to your last email dated August 12th, but this time my reply was returned with the message, quote unquote, the following organization rejected your message, owa.liat.com. As you have blocked my ability to communicate with you via email, I will respond through this letter. As a reference, I have attached our email exchanges, including my rejected reply, which you never got. This is not to expose or to ridicule you. In fact, many may see wisdom in your points and arguments and come to your defense. I, however, do not see wisdom. I see avoidance, apathy, and the clinging to the notion that LIAT's management is not in control of or responsible for what is probably LIAT's worst operational crisis in its 56-year history. Worst is that you take comfort in an assumption that we are all better off with LIAT than without it, so we should effectively put up and shut up. That is, in essence, your attitude and your response. And despite your promise to reply to my letter, quote unquote, in some detail in the near future, to date you have addressed none of the issues raised. Address the issues, please. I refer to my open letter dated August 11th, titled Heads Must Roll, and ask the questions again. Did LIAT appropriately plan for the fact that pilots had to be taken offline for ATR training? Did LIAT appropriately plan for the fact that pilots trained on the ATRs could not fly Dash 8s? Why did LIAT reduce its Dash 8 fleet before the ATRs were fully operational? Why was such a high-stakes venture undertaken during the peak summer season? Was there a contingency plan for things not going perfectly? Your CEO, in what amounts to a letter of apology to LIAT customers, published in the Trinidad Guardian on August 16th, speaks of severe weather conditions and airport limitations. Amazingly, the letter ends with, "We will be open and honest in communicating with you as we address your concerns." Let me ask a direct and open question to you and your CEO. Of the LIAT flights that have been delayed or cancelled since June 1st, 2013, please tell me what percentage are due to severe weather conditions or airport limitations. Another open question, and this one for the benefit of your ultimate shareholders, the taxpayers of the Caribbean. What has this crisis since June 1st cost LIAT in terms of having to pay for passenger overnights, food, ground transportation, chartered flights from several other Caribbean carriers to move passengers around, overtime hours, additional contracted staff, and so forth? And then there is, of course, the unimaginable economic cost to the region as a result of this disaster. Imagine a class action lawsuit where everyone claimed for lost time, missed connections, and mental anguish. Imagine the tourism industry stakeholders of the various islands being part of the suit and claiming lost revenue. A recent couple visiting Dominica for a vacation experience who suffered greatly at the hands of LIAT wrote us the following, open quote, "We truly enjoyed the island and we have been to many of the neighboring islands as well. Each has been a different and equally pleasant experience. But we will not be back if LIAT is the airline we have to fly. The people of the islands may not have a choice, but we do. And our choice will be to go somewhere where we are treated better by the airline and have a fighting chance of getting to our destinations reasonably on time." Multiply this by thousands and thousands. Do you begin to understand the damage and what is at stake? Your CEO, the key decision maker at LIAT responsible for planning the Dash 8 to ATR transition, who has finally apologized but who has taken no direct responsibility for the planning and implementation errors that have occurred, continues to hold this position. My letter of August 11th also outlined 3 incidents where I believe LIAT's public relations has been disastrous. Your only response to this has been, I agree that in the circumstances our PR has not been as effective as it should be. Your commercial and customer experience director, the depth of your indifference to what your customers suffer, continues to hold her position. If you are unable to force the necessary executive changes at LIAT, then you must step up and take responsibility for the current crisis. Napoleon once said, to get power, you need to display absolute pettiness. To exercise power, you need to show true greatness. I ask you to put the pettiness aside, show true greatness, and resign. Resign because it is the honorable thing to do. Resign because it will set an example of accountability to the sitting and future directors and executives. Resign because the people of the Caribbean and the visitors to the Caribbean need to see that after the more than 2 months of suffering that LIAT has put them through, that at least one person stands tall, takes the blame, and feels the shame. In closing, let's roll back the clock. It's June 2013, and LIAT's latest edition of Zing has just hit the back pockets of passenger seats. Your commercial and customer experience director opens the issue with, quote unquote, we are looking forward to a fantastic summer of service. We hope you've realized by now that LIAT is about one thing, you. Yes, this year is the year of the customer, and we want to make you feel special by giving you the service you deserve. How did we get from there to here? Oh yes, right. Bad weather, airport limitations. It's time to care. It's time for change. Heads must roll. Respectfully yours, Gregor Nassif, owner of Secret Bay, Executive Chairman of the 40th. P.S. to the staff of LIAT. A recent visitor wrote to us, if the governments of the island who own the airline required that senior management spend some time at the counters dealing with passengers, it would at least give these managers a true incentive to improve, because the issue stemmed from the top and not the lower level employees. End quote. The few moments of calm I personally experienced in my own tribulations over the last 2 months were given to me by a member of LIAT staff at the check-in counter in Dominica and an air stewardess on a flight from Trinidad. A caring attitude, a caring smile, and clear communication. I thank them for this. I appeal to LIAT staff not to fall temptation to work stoppages and strikes. You will simply be moving the victims, your customers, LIAT's reason for existence, from the torture chamber to the electric chair. You will be joining your management in not caring. Instead, join the call for an executive shake-up at LIAT. It is time to care. It is time for change. Heads must roll. CC, the LIAT board, and the Prime Ministers of Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Barbados, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines.